Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Build. I'm your host, Cole Delbeck, and today we're joined in the studio by Lucy Hale. Take the bold type, mix it with a little Sex and the City, and a splash of the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and you've got Katy Keene, a new, decidedly less murdery spinoff of Riverdale. Based on the comic book character, Katy is a fashion-obsessed 20-something with big dreams, trying to make it in New York City with her friends, including Josie, minus the Pussycats. It's a modern-day fairy tale with plenty of heart, musical numbers, and gorgeous designs that would even make Aria Montgomery do a double take. Also for something completely different, we're going to get into Lucy's new role in the terrifying and very twisty new horror movie Fantasy Island that comes out next week. But first, let's make some noise for Lucy Hale.
Hi you guys. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. And we coordinated.
Right.
A little pink blazer for Katy Keene. Love this.
Valentine's Day, Fantasy Island comes out. So
it is February. It's almost Valentine's Day. Yes, Fantasy Island comes out February 14th. I should know that as well. But yes, very exciting.
I mean, you are booked and busy for 2020.
It's so funny that it worked out that way. Because I remember last time I was here for Life Sentence, I think Truth or Dare was coming out at the same time. And so now, you know, we shot them at different times. But it just so happened that February is a very busy month.
I feel like you just haven't stopped working since Pretty Little Liars. You've just been booking shows and shows.
Knock on wood. I'm trying to hustle, you know. I love what I do, and I've been very lucky so far.
Is that where the work ethic comes from? It's sort of incredible.
I don't know where it comes. I think I have a really hardworking mother, and my dad works really hard. So I guess, and I love what I do. I think if you love what you do, it's not work. You get up every day and you're excited to do what you do. Yeah. So.
You know, you mentioned Life Sentence, and that's when you were last here. And it was a show I loved so much. It had this very like WB Everwood-esque vibe to it, and it was unfortunately canceled. But I know it's fun, sort of a new life on Netflix as well. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Oh, yes, you can still watch it on Netflix. Yeah.
So how did that show ending sort of lead into you maybe doing this new show? Were you looking for something else? Were you looking for something different?
You know, I love TV. Obviously, I was on a part of Pretty Little Liars for my whole 20s. And then I fell in love with the script of Life Sentence. And, you know, TV, it doesn't always go your way. You never know what's going to resonate. And I was actually really heartbroken over that. But it was like a good life lesson that I still really cared. You know, if I was that devastated, I still cared so much about my job, which I thought was really special. But, you know, I took a little break from TV, and I knew that if I was going to sign on to do something else, it had to be a character and in a world that I could imagine living in for a very long time. And I read the script, and I was like, well, my God, I feel like I was born to play Katy Keene. So it's really been such a joy. Actually, our last day of filming is tomorrow, which is the day we premiere, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
That's a good omen, right? That's a good sign, I hope. And it's just been a blast. I've moved to New York City, and I've gotten to take on a character that reminds me so much of my real life story of moving to LA. And it's just almost like a little fairy tale. You'll see, as you've seen from the previews, but you'll see tomorrow, you get to meet all these lovely characters, and I'm so excited. It's been such a blessing, and I think I made the right decision.
I mean, it's really good.
Thank you.
It just gels from the second it starts. You know, I grew up reading comics, and I read Archie. I was aware of the Josie the Pussycats. I read Sabrina, but it was, Katy Keene didn't really like cross my path.
She was like in the background.
But
because sorry, go ahead. I just cut you off.
No, I would just love to hear sort of, were you aware of her? Give us a little primer of who Katy is.
I actually, yes, I'm trying to like, how politically correct can I do? So there's a very famous pop star who's recreated a lot of Katy Keene outfits. So that was how I was aware of Katy Keene. And I was obviously familiar with Veronica and Betty and Archie and, you know, obviously the success of Riverdale. So I'm a big fan of Roberto's work, who created Riverdale and Sabrina. I'm sure you're familiar with him. But I didn't know much about Katy Keene. I knew that she was like the it fashion girl. And so I like Googled a bunch of images before I went and met with them for the first time. And I guess it was really cool back in the 50s or whenever they first started to write for her, you could submit your designs, and then Katy Keene would wear them in the comic, which I thought was really cool. And we actually used some of those clothes in the show. We've used actual outfits from the comic, which I thought was really cool. But that was pretty much the extent of it. They really gave me a blank slate to sort of create this bubbly, lively character, and I felt really lucky that they gave me the reins to do so.
Well, we're first going to see you pop up on Riverdale, I know.
Tonight, I think.
Tonight.
Yeah.
And
there's been a lot going on. I should know all the dates and everything. Yes, Riverdale tonight.
But it's also confusing because we're working in different timelines, because Katy Keene takes place a bit in the future.
Yeah, I'll try to explain it. It's still a little confusing for me. So Katy Keene takes place like 5 years in the future from Riverdale, like current time. So I guess see? It's confusing. So Riverdale would be in the past. Yes, okay. But in the episode of Riverdale, Katy goes back in time. I thought PLL would be the last time I'm playing a teenager. It is not, because Katy goes back to Riverdale time, whatever year it is, and you get to meet teenage Katy, and you sort of get an introduction into who she is and where she's from. And I guess I can say this now. Yeah, Veronica comes to New York, set in Katy world, but it's in Riverdale. That made no sense. Just watch it and you'll understand.
Just watch
yeah.
it. But you mentioned something important, is that sort of our connection to Katy as we were watching Riverdale is through Veronica.
Through Veronica. I think in the comics they were maybe cousins, but we're saying they're friends. Very close friends.
What was it like to sort of drop into the Riverdale set? I mean, that show's become such a huge hit. You've been on your own sort of huge hit show.
Yeah.
It's season 4 there. So what was it like to drop in and be among those kids?
Well, I had known Cammie a little bit, and so she actually came to New York, and we used all of Katy Keene's sets for the Riverdale episode. That's where it gets a little tricky. But she's a doll. She's great, and I think that there's so many parallels between like Riverdale and PLL. Like they sort of have the same sort of phenomenon vibe about them. So I don't know. I'm just so happy for them, and I'm happy to be a part of the universe. And yeah, Cammie's great.
Yeah, the ever-expanding Archie universe. I love it.
Ew.
But this show, even though it's tied to Riverdale, is like a very different sort of animal. Riverdale is sort of pulpy and dark and like neo-noir, and this show is really like aspirational and happy and bright, and it's all about people finding themselves and living out their dreams, and no one is murdered by a serial killer.
Yet.
Yet. Mid-season finale, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what people are going to be really surprised about, because they're calling it a Riverdale spinoff because we have this lovely Ashley Murray right here, who ties it all in together. But really, this show is about dreamers, and it's about 20-somethings in New York just going after what they love and not letting anything stop them. And it's about friendship and heartbreak and love, and just, it's really a coming-of-age story. These characters are just trying to figure out who they are. And I'm sort of the anchor of the show, but we each have like very different dreams, and the friendship is sort of the foundation of the whole show. So people will be like, oh my God, this is really bright and poppy, and like you said, no one's dying. So yeah, 2 very different shows, but hopefully all the Riverdale fans will like it just as much.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it sort of mirrored maybe your own sort of 20-something experience.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little?
Yeah, well, I somehow convinced my mom to move to LA when I was 15. We didn't really know what we were doing. I was just like, I want to be an actress. And like, I was like, of course it's going to work out, because like, why wouldn't it? And I think it was that mentality that sort of, there was no other option. I didn't have a plan B. I didn't really love to do anything else. So my mom somehow thought it was going to work out as well. So we moved to LA at 15, planning to stay for a couple of months, and I've been there ever since. So it was just kind of that attitude of I'm going to do this no matter what that reminded me so much of Katy. And what I love about the show is that it's not all like shiny and butterflies and unicorns. Like, you really get to see the struggle of what it's like for someone trying to make their dreams come true. And I think that, Katy doesn't always get what she wants, and I definitely didn't always get what I wanted. And yeah, it's just very realistic, I think.
Yeah, and sort of each of the characters in this show, your roommates with Josie, of course, this amazing drag performer, and then Pepper is also your friend. So you have each of these characters sort of pursuing their own paths in the city, and then you guys all come together for these great sort of like debrief friendship moments that we all have had sort of with our friends late night talking about your day. And it feels really sort of authentic, and you want to be a part of this friend group. So tell me about the dynamics within this sort of quintet.
Yeah, so Katy is roommates with Jorge, who also plays Ginger, our lovely drag performer in the show. And then Josie moves from Riverdale to New York, and we all 3 become roommates. And then Pepper, you'll learn throughout the series what Pepper's up to, because she's up to no good. But sorry, what was the question? What's the dynamic?
Yeah.
Like off screen, on screen. Well, we just got really lucky, because I think that what sells the show is that you want to be friends with them. And I think that watching the show, hopefully you buy it, because we really are friends and we really get along, and we're all so different. And I think that really, you'll gravitate towards one character, or hopefully all of them, but you'll definitely latch on to characteristics from some of the characters, which I think is really cool. And I just adore them. I think, Johnny, this is his big breakout moment, and he's so special, and you guys are just going to fall in love with him. And obviously you're familiar with Ashley's work, and she's amazing. And Julia and she's become one of my best friends. So I feel lucky. Good peeps. Yeah.
And a big part of Katy's journey is that she is a fashion designer. She is this, eye for putting together outfits, sort of like no one else. I mean, can we take a moment for this burgundy pantsuit? We love.
I made it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I didn't.
She was back there with a sewing machine, just going at it. I imagine that the clothes are a part of the way that you get into a character's skin, and it makes me think of Arya, especially because she had such a distinctive outfits that became such sort of a point of conversation throughout PLL. How did the clothes sort of inform your approach to Katy this time?
I think I've been very lucky with the characters I played. Lots of fun clothes, but I think Katy's love of fashion and her, not just for the way it looks, but she knows how to stitch. She knows every detail of how everything's made. And that was something before this project I knew nothing about. I just knew like, oh, that's pretty. Can I please wear it? But Katy knows, her mom was a seamstress. She's a seamstress. So she understands fashion and how to make things, which was very fun for me to learn. Not that I'm a seamstress by any means, but there are scenes where I've had to learn to do like an overcast stitch, and I know how to kind of work my way around a sewing machine a little bit. But yeah, stepping into her clothes, like a lot of her clothes she's made herself because she doesn't have any money. So she's like, one of the taglines in the show is, you don't have to be rich to be stylish. And her mom taught her that. And she makes clothes for her friends. And she's an aspiring designer. And I think that, definitely stepping into her clothes, or any character, it sort of just brings it to life in a way that, because I'm so opposite from Katy. I'm like jeans, sneakers, t-shirt kind of girl. Katy would never be caught dead in jeans, you guys, ever. So, it sort of takes on a life of its own. And our costume designer, Jen, is just like outrageous. She's so amazing. And I quite love Pepper's wardrobe too. You'll see. She's like very Carrie Bradshaw on the show. Yeah.
No, I mean, like watching the first episode, I was like, I need like in shopping links for everything that I'm seeing. It's just like, it's so gorgeous. Want to mention Josie really quick. So she comes on, Josie sort of is finding herself in this city. And there's a lot of sort of musical elements to the show too, which is this great sort of hybrid that the Archie Comics universe has nailed down.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm a big fan of your music. The Road Between We Stand, we still listen. Thank you. Any chance that you might do some singing this time around?
I will be singing on the show. Yeah, I will be singing a couple of times on the show, which has been fun because I think since like doing all the music, making the album, I was like, the love of it was still there, but I wanted to find a different way to utilize it because I realized like the whole touring life was not for me, but getting to do it through acting, it just feels like the perfect match. So it's been really fun to get to showcase it in a different way. And there will be many a musical number on our show, which has been very fun.
I can't wait. So you were feeling like maybe putting out another album, that type of road is not...
I don't know. Maybe. I just think I'm definitely... the acting life is more for me. There's just like more structure and everything. But I have an open mind. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe this will spark something in me to like make another album. I don't know. We'll see.
And sort of looking ahead down this season, can we expect any other sort of Riverdale people to pop up? I know it's sort of 5 years in the future, so I'm like, can we get College Archie in here? What's happening?
I would love to have Archie on the show. We do have a few surprises. I can't say who. But yeah, there's some fun crossover stuff happening, which I think the fans will really like.
And so you're shooting in the city, correct?
Correct.
And so you've also moved to the city.
I've been here temporarily since like August. And then I leave this weekend to go back to get some LA sunshine. But it's been fun. I had to say I was a little nervous to move here just because like I love driving. I love the sun. I love 75 degrees. But it's, it's forced me to be more spontaneous, and I walk everywhere. My dog's a little freaked out by all the noises and stuff, but I really liked it. I think it's been good for me, and yeah.
Wow, real life Katy Keene.
Bi-coastal.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I want to talk also about Fantasy Island. It comes out next week. It is
a very different project.
Yes, Katy Keene, other spinoff. Yeah, this is maybe actually more Riverdale in some respects.
100%. Yeah.
I saw it earlier this week, and I've been seeing commercials for it everywhere, and it really delivered on sort of the promise of this beautiful, alluring island that's sort of hidden by all these, there's some secrets, there's, terrors in store. So I remember watching sort of your Instagram, and you guys were all filming this in Fiji, and I was following Maggie Q and Ryan Hansen, who I love, and it looked like the funnest job ever.
Yes, it was truly, 2 months in Fiji with all these wonderful people. Because we would film, and because it was such an ensemble cast, I would film like 3 days a week, and then I'd be snorkeling like 3 other days. It was just ridiculous. It was very fun. Wow, the heat and humidity there is no joke. You'll watch the movie and you feel hot. You can just see the sweat, and it's real sweat. It's not fake movie sweat. But yeah, I mean, we were like hiking up to bat caves, and you've seen it. So all those caves, it's real. It looks like a movie set. It's real. Yeah, I mean, it's gorgeous, and we definitely had fun, and I'm glad to hear that it works.
You guys, the twists are in store. I don't want to say anything more, but it is so good. And so you had done another Blumhouse, you did Truth or Dare earlier. So what is it about sort of this horror genre? I mean, Pretty Little Liars touched on it a little bit, but is that sort of a place that you're finding yourself more at home?
I don't think it's been intentional. I think for me, I mean, I do love the genre, and I loved making Truth or Dare so much. It was so ridiculous and fun, and like, if I could make movies like that all the time, I would. But then they presented me with this script, and I knew it was like a really famous show in the 70s. And I always love like a good remake if they flip it on its head, because the original was very, I don't think it was scary at all. It was maybe a little creepy, but they took the bones of that show and just like completely flipped it on its head. But yeah, for me, it's never really like, ooh, let's go for this genre. It's more just like, do I like the character? Do I like the storyline? I mean, filming in Fiji, that was kind of the selling point. Let's be real.
Like, where is this filming?
Yeah, but I had also worked with Jeff Wadlow. He was the director. He did Truth or Dare, and yeah, but it definitely, I don't think it's been intentional. Yeah.
So the character, each character that comes to the island has sort of this fantasy that they want to live out. And from the trailers, we see that your fantasy is to take to revenge on a high school, middle school bully.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I've been there. I could see that.
There's a few people I might do that too as well.
Was that something that you also pulled from your real life? Like, what would your fantasy be if you, Lucy, were coming to Fantasy Island?
I just want like a date with Elvis Presley. That's it. I just love Elvis so much. That, or just like, I don't know, a farm full of dogs. No people, just dogs. No, that's the question I get asked the most, is like, what is your fantasy? And my life half the time feels like a fantasy, so I'm just like living it out every day. But yeah, so my character Melanie, she wants revenge on a childhood bully, and you'll see there's some twists and turns along the way, and you really you understand why later in the end of the movie. But yeah, it's fun. Good times. Yeah.
Good times and then not so good times very quickly.
Yeah.
And so about this film more, I mean, did you sort of really bond with the cast on set? So you guys were like on the beach together.
Yeah.
I mean, and each of you do have these individual stories, but it all sort of comes together in the end. So, I mean, yeah, what was it like? You're in these caves,
We had to actually live on a boat for 2 weeks together. So we were there for 2 months, but the island you see with like the big house and the trailer and everything, that's a remote island. There's only one house on it. I forget, it's owned by someone really rich. I don't know. So we'd have to live on this huge boat, the cast and the crew. We would drive in on little boats every day to film on this island, drive back on the boats, sleep, eat, back and forth for 2 weeks. So we were in close quarters. We got to know each other very well. And most of our crew was from New Zealand. They like to party, so they'd film every day, party at night. Film every day, party at night. So we all got to know each other very well, and yeah, I think I love doing stuff on location because it just kind of forces you to get to know people a little bit better, and yeah, Ryan Hansen, he's the best.
I mean, I'm a huge Veronica Mars fan, so
he's a dream. He's so great.
Before we go to audience Q&A, I want to ask, we talk about sort of set bonding and all this stuff, and I was wondering, are any PLL cast members sort of you've kept in contact with, come across lately?
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone in a really. I talked to Ian the other day. He's doing great. Shay obviously had a gorgeous baby, so we all are in group messages and stuff. But we're kind of all over the place. But I think we're due for a reunion soon.
It's filmed reunion, perhaps, or
maybe, or a private one, or I don't know. 10 years from now, who knows? We might want to revisit the PLL world. We'll see.
Oh my God, we have to. Okay, then we have a Twitter question for Lucy. Will we have a full musical episode in Katy Keene like Riverdale did?
Oh my God, can I answer this? I don't know if I can answer that. I will say there are a lot of musical numbers. And I'll leave it at that.
So musical elements. And we also know actually Riverdale this year is going to do Hedwig and the Angry Inch. for their musical
yes.
episode, which I am so excited
That's
about.
very exciting. Oh, that's the question. Got it.
And we have 3 questions in audience.
I was like, that's not my icon photo. This is Lucy Hale Brazil. Got it.
We have first question. Hi.
Good
Hi,
morning.
how are you? Good to
Good.
see you.
Good to see you too. So, you mentioned that you and the cast are like all really tight knit. This like tight knit family, and it's obvious in like the pilot and stuff like that. So I was wondering if you had any like favorite moments filming on set or like off camera that you wanted to
Offset?
hear.
Oh man, I wish I had a fun story. I don't know if I have anything specific, but it's like just from my point of view, just being a part of a show and a cast, like you don't always bond with people in the way that I have with these guys. But I mean, Johnny just in general is just hysterical, and he keeps us laughing. And like I said, I can't wait for you guys to see what he does on the show. It's outrageous. But I don't know. Julia and I have gotten really close. I don't know. I don't have any specific stories. I just feel grateful that we all sort of connected. The stars all kind of aligned, and you know. Luckily, no, I'm just kidding. It'll remain.
One scene I love from the pilot is there's this big sort of like not makeover, but you guys are in the department store sort of late at night, and you guys have this strut down sort of the center aisle.
Right.
And it's just decked in the most amazing clothes you could imagine.
And I have to say, when we were filming that, I felt so ridiculous. It was like a slow strut, and they slowed it down in post-production, so it's like we're moving in slow motion. But that's movie magic for you. I watch it, I'm like, oh, that totally worked. People knew what they were doing. Great. But yeah, lots of fun moments like that.
It worked. Another question.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
Do you have any routines that you do before set, before you get into your characters? Just anything that makes you feel comfortable to film?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, oftentimes we're starting at like 4 a.m. and shooting really weird hours. So for me, it's kind of lots of coffee. I've gotten to bring my dog on set for Katy Keene, which has been the first time I've ever been allowed to bring an animal, because a lot of studios are really strict about it. So lots of coffee, lots of Elvis time. And it's really just like finding moments to just like zone out, because you're around people like 15 to 16 hours a day. So I just kind of like pop my headphones in and go to a different place for like 20 minutes. But it's pretty simple. And then go home and sleep, and then do it all over again. It's been a lot of that.
Animals are key.
Yeah.
I wish I could bring my cat here. And we have one more question.
Oh, great. Hi. Hello. There she is.
So I know you mentioned that you looked up like the Katy in the comics, but did you ever read any of her storylines in the Archie comic books at all?
I've like bits and pieces, but I haven't actually sat down to read most of them. I know most of them are based around like her love life. She was with a lot of boys, Katy Keene. They're a lot to do with like KO, her boyfriend.
Yeah.
KO's like always jealous of the guys Katy Keene's talking to.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them were fashion related. Have you read some of it?
No,
No,
I
you
haven't. It's been years since I've picked up an Archie comic book, but no, I haven't.
Yeah, a lot of them are revolving around fashion and men, which is great. Two of my favorite things.
That's good. I mean, it'd be cool too, since the original comic book sort of took fan submissions about the outfits.
I thought that was really cool.
If
Yeah,
that could also sort of be at play with this show.
I have a feeling
maybe in
that
the
they
future.
might do something like that in the next season. I think that would be really cool to get fans sort of involved in that way.
I mean, everybody starts sketching now.
Get
What do you
your
want Lucy
ideas
to
ready.
wear?
Make me look good though. Nothing too crazy.
So we're gonna have to let you go, but everyone make sure to watch Katy Keene tomorrow on the CW. Check her out tonight on Riverdale, and then everybody go see Fantasy Island next Friday. Let's get up for Lucy, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys.